Hello everyone, I am Burger, and I'm here with a analysis video on the character of Gecko Moria and his comeback that he has made recently. Now, manga panels are annoyingly prohibited, so I'm instead going to show you pictures of sugar gliders. And you might be thinking, Burger, what's a sugar glider? Why, you're looking at one. Isn't it cute? In any case, this video is going to be separated into 4 segments. I'm holding up 4 fingers right now. The first segment, where I will talk about Gecko Moria's character, and what I like about him, and what I think about him in general, as of his initial appearance. And then I'm going to talk about where his crew ended up going, after Luffy defeated him. Then I'm going to talk about what he did in the most recent chapter, and finally, only then will I talk about what is going to happen with his character next. So that is the way I'm doing things, and any predictions I'm making are going to be opinions, and opinions are subject to change. So, if you have a thought that contradicts my thought, please tell me, and I may change my thoughts. Because I'm just doing my best to interpret the story of One Piece, and I feel that every interpretation is equally valid. Now, if a minute and a half passed, let me start section 1. So, what I think about Gecko Moria in general. He's the type of character that's interesting if you look at him really closely, although I feel like it's just better writing if you make a character more obviously interesting so that you don't have to super analyze it to get the character. I feel like that's just better writing in general, not to say that I don't like Gecko Moria's character. So, first of all, his character design. I really like the character design of Gecko Moria, the onion-shaped human. I just really like it. He's really interesting. I'm like, what type of body modifications did he use to make himself look like that? So horns implanted on his head, something on his neck to make his neck long, because we saw him as a kid and he was not a long-necked human. He's really fat and he's really big because once upon a time he was a pretty strong warrior. And his devil fruit is freaking awesome, and it allowed for an amazing motif throughout Thriller Bark. Spoopy, that's the motif I'm referring to. And I think his devil fruit has so much potential, but he wasn't using it effectively, and furthermore, his personality was dysfunctional because of the loss of his crew at the hands of Kaido. And that was the most personality we ever saw from Gecko Moria, was when they mentioned his former crew, and how Luffy is going to the New World, and Gecko Moria is like, New World bad, New World bad. And basically, since his crew entirely died, he formed a new crew of only 4 humans, and the rest being, what shall I call them? Zombies. Zombies is the name they use, that's what I'll call them. And the zombies take equal part memories from the bodies they're made from and the shadows they're made from, which is an important fact for what I'm going to talk about later. Because some of the zombie generals, I thought they were going to be really interesting, but then they just kind of ignored them. And furthermore, Ryuma with Brook's shadow was an incredibly interesting character. It was a really weird combination of Ryuma's memories, Brook's personality, and Gecko Moria's orders. It was a really weird combination, but I really liked that character, and I really liked that fight with Zoro. In any case, the Mysterious Four, as they were referred to in Gecko Moria's crew, were not all too interesting at a glance, but after they were helping Gecko Moria escape from his island after he was overthrown, it was made clear that they're kind of the outcasts, that they're not accepted by society. A crazy doctor, a seriously creepy invisible man, a ghost girl, and Gecko Moria, that they are not accepted by society, but they accept each other. And that was the bond they had. And this was not shown in the arc, which I think Oda kind of made a mistake by not including this in the arc, but in an SBS, or I don't know why people call it an SBS, I would call it a Q&A, but in any case, ignoring semantics, in an SBS, Oda said that Perona sees Gecko Moria as a father, and he adopted her when she was like, I don't know, 12 or something. I don't remember the exact information that was given, or what assumptions could be made. So that show, if that had shown up in the arc, instead of in an SBS, that would have shown that Gecko Moria, despite him not wanting to suffer the grief of losing another crew, he still desires human connections. So that is why I like Gecko Moria so much, and his crew, and I like the arc and his powers, and that's why I think he's the type of character that is subtly interesting. Although, you know, a backstory would have helped his character. Not something super relevant like what happened with Kaido, because that's what we're going to find out eventually soon. But you know, anything about his backstory is very helpful, and clearly Oda thought of it because it appeared in an SBS. So that's my entire thoughts on Gecko Moria as of his first appearance. I feel like he has so much potential for strength, but his personality just got defective after the loss of his entire crew. He needs to go get some therapy or something. Poor guy. And that is the conclusion of part 1 of this explanation I'm doing on Gecko Moria. Alright, and now on to part 2. What happened to Gecko Moria after Luffy defeated him? So he immediately went to Marineford with what few crew members he had left, except for Perona, who was catapulted away by Bartholomew Kuma. So Gecko Moria is probably worried sick about Perona, and by this time he may have even assumed the worst happened to her, and may even blame the Straw Hats for it. It's hard to say, this is all conjecture, but interesting conjecture. So, Absalom and Hogback and Gecko Moria were all together, sailing away, and then Gecko Moria appeared at Marineford. I pretty much assume that Hogback did not leave Gecko Moria's side, because Hogback is kind of a perverted, creepy Dr. Frankenstein type character, and there's no one he would rather work for than someone who can literally bring corpses to life. Furthermore, Gecko Moria, if he wants to make effective zombie soldiers, basically needs Dr. Hogback to stitch weird things together, because he stitched some weird stuff together, like putting a human face on a tree. That is pretty creepy, I must say. And then sewing a bunch of dog heads together to make a Cerberus, sewing a horn of, like, I don't know, a rhino or something, or a narwhal onto a horse to make a unicorn. This is some creepy stuff. It was pretty creepy the first time I watched it. Now it's more like meh, because I've read mangas like Berserk, so it's hard to creep me out. Or harder than it was originally. In any case, so I highly doubt those two separated from each other. But what really confused me is Absalom went and became a freelance reporter. So was he separating himself from Gecko Moria, or was he still working for him the entire time? It's unclear. Although you can make a more educated guess based on the newest chapter of 925, where some very interesting stuff happens with a Gecko Moria. So, with Absalom as a freelance reporter, Perona living with Mihawk and Zoro for a while before it was just her and Mihawk, and who knows where Hogback and Gecko Moria are, that is where all of them went. But I am inclined to guess Oh, wait, I forgot something important. After Marineford, sorry, this is super important. I almost forgot it. Oh, I knew I was forgetting something important. After Marineford, Doflamingo tried to kill Gecko Moria, and Absalom saved him by turning invisible. So, was he never leaving Gecko Moria's side? Was he catching up with him? Was he working for him the whole time, biding his time? Who knows? But all we know is that Absalom was a freelance reporter and showed up at several locations, and Gecko Moria did not appear after that point, although there was foreshadowing here and there that Gecko Moria would return. Like, I don't remember where I saw it, but I have this image in my head of a Thriller bark boat, and like, all they showed was the boat. I wish I could remember what chapter I saw that in, but it was a very strange appearance. I remember that. Or maybe I remember that entirely wrong. In any case, we saw a ship, so they foreshadowed Gecko Moria's reappearance. Now on to stage 3, where I will just be describing what on earth even happened in the recent chapter. And basically, Perona reads the newspaper, sees that Gecko Moria is alive, and would she read this and then go and find Gecko Moria dead? That's unlikely, but I'm getting off topic. I need to just talk about what happens. So she goes off to go find Gecko Moria, now that she knows he's alive. And then Gecko Moria shows up, and he looks like he's lost some weight. He's less of a fat ass now. He's not wearing those awful plaid pants. He's wearing a pretty fancy tie. Ooh, he is fancy. He's got some big britches. In any case, he's got zombies, and he's demanding that Blackbeard show himself because he's worried about Absalom. And this is a pretty ballsy move. Like, is he an idiot, or is he just ballsy? Or does he just care that much about Absalom? I would be inclined to think it's the third one, the fact that he just cares that much about Absalom. But someone pretends to be Absalom with a devil fruit ability. They turn into him. And then Gecko Moria, I wish I could show the image, but, manga panels. It looks to me like Gecko Moria successfully dodged an attack from invisible Shiryu of the Rain. One of the most epic swordsmen in the series, and Gecko Moria looks like he just dodged it. That's what it looks like to me, and I think that would be pretty cool if that was the case. I mean, I doubt Shiryu was actually trying to kill him, but I think it would be pretty cool if Gecko Moria, despite his massive size, had the observation hockey good enough to dodge an attack from Shiryu, even if it was a half-assed attack. In any case, there's a moment of disbelief, and Gecko Moria realizes that if Shiryu has Absalom's Devil Fruit ability, that Absalom is in fact dead, and that is when the fake Absalom becomes Katarina Devon, the Crescent Moon Hunter, who there's some disturbing information about her from, the Beaver Card data book packs, which I think is a weird concept, but hey, if it sells, I mean, they're clearly doing something correct. So she tells him that they also have his corpse, and the fact that... I'm not going to get into that, I just need to describe what happens. Stay on point. And then Blackbeard gives a speech. He's One Piece's one of One Piece's hype men, because Blackbeard gives a speech about how awesome the One Piece manga is, and then asks Moria to join his crew, because even though Blackbeard is a notorious Devil Fruit hunter, he doesn't necessarily have he doesn't have an unlimited amount of strong allies to give Devil Fruits to. So it's definitely in his best interest if he meets someone strong who has a strong devil fruit, to maybe just assimilate them into his crew. And that is all that happens in that chapter. So now on to a stage 4 of the video. Hope you're enjoying the sugar glider pictures. I sure am, because I'm not looking at them right now, so I'm a liar. And now on to stage 4. Gecko Moria is a twisted man who cares a lot about his friends. Like, I think, you know, like, some of these people, like, you get the feeling that, you know, if their crewmates die, they don't care a ton. It's only a few of them they care about. But Gecko Moria cares very deeply about his crew. I would say he cares about his crew as much as Luffy does. His loyalty really is astounding, to go and pick a fight with a Yonko in order to save his beloved crewmate. So, he's surrounded by Yonko subordinates, and Blackbeard, the guy with 2 devil fruits, is not far away. So, is he willing to fight to the death over the loss of his friend? Or is he so desperate to have his friend back that he'll accept the corpse, bring him back in some perversion of nature way, and then join with Blackbeard's crew, because Blackbeard offers him a chance to fight Kaido, or he insinuates that. And I think that Gecko Moria might be so driven by revenge that he would he would temporarily join the crew of a man who killed one of his friends in order to kill the man, and in order to have a chance at killing the man who killed a bunch of his friends. Because I get the feeling that Gecko Moria had a crew of, like, I don't know, 50 people is a good size for a pirate crew, and I get the feeling that he cared about each and every one of them, and I hope we get a flashback talking about them, because his devotion is just insane. The willing to pick a fight with a Yonko to retrieve your friend, it's just crazy. And then that gets into what is the most interesting thing that can happen. So on one hand, it would be interesting for Blackbeard to show up with none other than Gecko Moria's fruit, but Gecko Moria being dead. But in that case, what's the point of Perona getting this information and getting excited? Is she just gonna go rush over to find the person that she considers a father-like figure, only to find him dead, and then maybe join up with the Straw Hats? Or will Gecko Moria join up with Teach in order to, lose a battle to win the war with Kaido? And ultimately, maybe defect from Blackbeard. That's the thing about Blackbeard, is he always kills people's friends and then offers them a spot on his crew. Isn't that just asking them to betray you? And, like, he let Aokiji on his crew. Like, sometimes I really wonder, I feel like Blackbeard lets his greed get in the way of his intelligence, because he's clearly... Let me just say one more thing about Blackbeard, because this video isn't about Blackbeard. I want to say one more thing about Blackbeard. He was the ultimate scumbag. He was the master of betraying people and using dirty tricks. He used dirty tricks to kill the strongest man in the world. That makes him a genius. Because when Whitebeard attacked Blackbeard, he clearly took some serious damage. But Whitebeard was already on the verge of death at that point. So, he used dirty tricks to beat the strongest man in the world, which is super impressive. I'm not saying anything bad about Blackbeard. All I'm saying is that he's a scumbag. And it seems that over the time skip, Blackbeard has gone from a scummy scrub who can't grow a beard to a Mega Mac daddy with a harem and an epic beard, but no stash, oddly enough. Or is his stash white? I'm looking really closely at a close-up of his face. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I don't want nightmares. Like, seriously, go see a dentist, Blackbeard. Jeez. In any case, that's all I've got to say about that. So, what be most interesting is if Moria joins up with Blackbeard to fight Kaido. They show up, do some stuff, and then Moria then defects and joins some other allied force, perhaps Luffy. I don't think Luffy would be slow to forgive Moria if he asked nicely to join up with him, like, you know, because all he did is try and steal his friend's shadows. I mean, it's not like he tried to, you know, destroy their country, and murder his friends in the most painful way possible, and, you know, like a few other certain villains. So, I think the most interesting thing is Gecko Moria is making a full comeback. And who knows what's going to happen with that. That would be the most interesting. Alternatively, Blackbeard might just kill him and take his fruit. I feel like that's a possibility. Although people don't die often in One Piece, I feel like I want people to die in One Piece all the time, so I'm optimistic about people dying. Meaning I want people to die. I feel like death adds meaning, you know, like one arc should, you know, like a few people should die every arc, at least. In any case, those are the options of what Gecko Moria is going to do, and I gave a very extensive lead up onto how I think he is going to, you know, deal with things. I gave all the information that I feel is relevant, and then I made my decision, which I think is that Gecko Moria is going to join up with Blackbeard so that he can fight Kaido, but ultimately he's planning to defeat Blackbeard, even though that is a bit futile. So we're going to see zombies in Wano. That is what I'm hoping for. Either way, we're getting zombies in Wano, zombies in Wano, zombies in Wano, zombies in Wano. And Perona has entered the story. Perona, oh my gosh, Perona is great. Perona is on the cover page and in the chapter. It is great. Gecko Moria is great. Absalom is dead, and his corpse may be reanimated. And I very strongly feel that Hogback has always been in the shadows with Gecko Moria because, you know, I don't think Gecko Moria's fruit is very useful without Hogback. And, did I say, you know, Gecko Moria got off... I think I forgot to say it, because there's so much stuff to say. The Gecko Moria got off his fat ass and kicked some ass because of Luffy. And so, Luffy, you're a great counselor. You just saved, Gecko Moria years of grief therapy. Good job, Luffy. You're such a good person. You know, freeing hundreds of criminals from Impel Down, and calling a guy who the first thing you learn about him is a cannibal, your friend. I'm talking about Bartolomeo. Such a good person, Luffy. Really. In any case, that's it for today, everyone. Bye. I'd love to hear everything you have to say. So please say it politely, because I'm really interested. I'm unsure about a lot of these things, so if you disagree with me, please tell me. I'd be very interested to hear it. I welcome all feedback. I hope you enjoyed the Sugar Gliders. That's it for today, everyone. Bye!